Hmm. Hello, I'm Lex. Today we are going to implement our first class, screen buffer. Screen buffer we need in order to draw something into the console screen. So we are not going to use see in see out stuff because it's slow and it does not allow us to specify the character position on the screen directly. Like using screen buffer, we can just create console window and place our characters wherever we want. So let's go. Let's create a folder, screen buffer. This is our screen buffer class. Screen buffer. So I prefer to use, I don't know how to call it, like this weird notation that Unreal use. I found this very convenient, prevents name clashing actually. So we are going to name our screen buffer like F screen buffer. So you can call it whatever you want. Don't ask me why F. I don't know. And screen buffer CPP file. Okay. So first we're going to include our precompiled header pch.h, and next also our screen buffer. So first we are going to implement this class. Let's put it into the namespace. Let's call it WCE, like stands for Windows Console Engine, or just simply WCE. Okay, fine. So first, yeah, our class actually. First constructor, screen buffer, and destructor. We need this one actually. Oh, probably did something wrong here. Okay. And we are going to need a couple of functions here, which is, I'll explain later what they do. First, activate to make our screen buffer active. Clear, self-explanatory. Fill with attribute. And here we are going to specify parameters of type word attribute to fill, double word, length, and coordinate, or maybe just chord, but whatever. So we also need a couple of functions here. Write, let's call it write to the buffer. I mean write character. and we are going to specify position first, or let's call it position actually. And white char character. So this is the first one, and the second one, we also want the option here to write not just one character, but but the white string here. We are going to use white strings and white characters because this is how the Windows console works. It requires white characters, 16-bit characters, as far as I remember. Okay. First position and second one, const std white string reference. Let's call it string, just string. And we need present function to present buffer when it's ready. And let's add actually increase font size and decrease font size. And here we need to specify the amount, the actual amount to increase and decrease in case we want to increase by 1, by 2, by 3, or we're gonna be using short. Let's call it offset. And by default it would be just 1. It will be, So we also need accessors here. First, white char pointer, get font name. We probably don't need this actually, but sometimes you never know. Short, and let's just get font size, and also get font size max and min, font minimum and maximum font size. Max. Get font size min. I'll explain this later, why we need this. And const. We need also to get our attribute, get output attribute. Yeah, and next one, modifiers. Basically getters and setters. Some people call it like that. So here, screen buffer reference. We want to be able to set our font, set font, and as a parameter widescreen font name. So next one. So we are making this screen buffer tab because this allows us to call it like in the see in see out fashion. Like when we use see in see out, we can do this like std see out, for example, papam, blah blah blah, papam, blah blah blah, papam, blah blah blah, and so on. The same we are going to be able to use with this, because our setters will return reference to itself. No, not to itself actually, to the class itself, to the object itself. I will show you later how it's useful. So short font size. Yeah, font size, and and the last one, we are, let's set output attribute, and as a parameter word attribute. Okay, we are done with our functions, so, but not yet actually. We need one private function here. Private functions, but actually one function here. Void type hide cursor. Just hide cursor, hide console cursor, to hide our console cursor. Basically, we don't need this. So it's time to declare our variables, which we are going to be using here. So first, word width and height of the buffer, our buffer actually. And then white char pointer char buffer, or character buffer, but char or char buffer, just shorter. We need handle to our console screen buffer. We need word output attribute, and we also need double word. We actually don't need this, but maybe. In case in the future. Console. We also need console screen buffer info. Yeah, let's call it console screen info. Console screen info also need console cursor info. Yeah, simple as that. Console cursor info. Oh yeah. Console, and the additionally we need the font info extended console font info. Let's call it console font info, and let's specify our max and min font size. So static const expression short and font size max. Let's make it like 26 and font size min 16. You will see later why 26 and 16. And double word num attributes written. This one is also not necessarily needed, but sometimes. Okay. For now, it's time to implement those functions. Let's close this. We don't need this right now. So here, namespace WCE let's keep the order and now let's go here and let's say functions here and here accessors and here modifiers and here private functions. So let's start with the constructor. Here we need first let's specify our default width and height and the attribute. So let's use the initializer list for that. Width, let's say 120, and this is close to default. Height, let's say 30, and console put attribute. Let's use some Windows macros here for ground red and also for ground red, green, and also for ground blue. So first, what we need to do, we need to create our character buffer. This character buffer we will going to use. We are going to use to basically display text in our console. But this allows us to make it just immediate, not unlike the C and C out, so, or printf or whatever. Let's create one char buffer equals new ychar, and the size would be width multiplied by height. Yeah, simple as that. So the next, we need to fill this character buffer with spaces, because if we don't, by default it's filled with some weird stuff. We don't want this. You can experiment with this later, you will see what I mean. But for now, let's default initialize kind of this buffer to character buffer and static, and we need to cast this to int width multiplied by height, and just space. Fill all this buffer, the I don't know how to call it. Basically, it's just destination with size. It's a pointer to our buffer, never mind. Okay, so next we are going to create our console screen buffer, because we have char buffer, but this buffer will be used by console screen buffer. So console screen buffer, we are going to create this one with create console screen buffer function. And we need this special rights here, this desired access. We need access to read and also to write. So the next one, share mode. We don't need this share mode, so just keep it 0. Security attributes. Now we don't need this, so we can pass the null pointer here. And we need console text text mode buffer, and here flags, yeah, and here screen buffer data. Well, we don't need this one. We actually can provide this. We have this, doesn't we? Don't we? Or I don't know. Like that. We can basically just use console screen info address of here screen buffer info. But it might be not the right thing here. Actually, I don't know. So let's pass in no pointer here. So then we need to get our console screen buffer into the, oh yeah, right. This is how we're going to get our screen buffer info. Screen buffer data is the different kind of thing. So get screen buffer to here. Get console screen buffer. Console screen buffer info, and console buffer info. No, we call it like screen info. Yeah. So the next step, let's just hide our cursor by default. So let's call this hide console cursor. This is empty now, but we will implement this very soon. So then let's set our console cursor position. This is not necessarily actually, but let's specify this just to know exactly where it is, where we should expect this one. Console, set console cursor position, Whoa, what have I done? Okay, and console screen buffer, and the position here will be, let's say 0, 0. And what we also want to specify by default, let's first, before we forgot, if every time when we create something with new, and we know for sure that we don't need this when this object is destroyed. So first we create our char buffer, new white char, and so on. And next step, just immediately in the destructor here, put this, because when the screen buffer is destroyed, we don't need this char buffer anymore. So let's delete this. And let's say our font size by default will be the minimum size. Font size min. Okay, we are done with our constructor here. So let's implement other methods here. What the activate does, well, the activate function will activate our console screen buffer. So the console screen buffer, in order to work, let's say, need to be activated. First we need to activate this, and then we can use it. Only the active one we can use. So set console active screen buffer console screen buffer, and that's it. This is what this function does. Simple as that. So the next one is a little bit tricky one. I'm joking. Just a few lines of code. First, we're going to hide our console cursor, because sometimes when we mess with our console buffer, the cursor appears again. So in clear function, when we clear our buffer, we are going to hide our cancer or our cancer. Weird. Yeah, you have cancer, guys? I'm sorry for you. Okay. We are going to hide our cursor. So, and in a loop, we are going to use word I equals 0 u. Yes, unsigned, sure. So yeah, it's unsigned. And maybe this, no, this. Yes, to specify that this is short. And before we reach our height, the screen buffer coordinate starts from 0 on the top left corner, and in our case 120 and 30 in our bottom right corner. So before we reach our height, we will fill our rows column row by row. Okay, it doesn't matter. Here we will just, I'm not good in English actually. You can hear it. Fill with attribute. Here we're going to clear our buffer. Clear set default attribute for every how to call it, like cell, maybe, for every element. We're going to set width for each element. We are not this actually. We need to specify the attribute, not the screen buffer. So console output attribute, our default attribute. And well, here we need to cast this to short I. So we are going to fill our rows like this, like this, like this, like this, like row by row. That's what this loop does. And after that, after we have specified our default attribute for every element, for each element in this screen buffer, we are going to again fill in char buffer with spaces. Need to cast this to int height and simply this space. Yeah. All right. And we already have specified our attribute. And here, okay, this is fine. This is fine. So how we are going to fill with attribute? Well, I will show you. Fill console output attribute. Yes. Oh, it's me. Fill console output attribute. And here we are going to specify what? Console screen buffer, probably, yeah. Our attribute, our length, and our position, and our num characters written. Okay. So how our write function? How about this? Okay. Here we are going to just directly set character to something, because we already have by default our char buffer filled with spaces, which basically means that each character is a space here. So here in this function we are going to set desired character to something else. Okay, let's calculate the position of this character. Position y multiplied by width, and this is okay, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I have messed things up. This is what I want. To calculate the position, we need to do this. Here we go. Yeah. Simple as that. And in order to write the string here, well, we are just going to use no, not this one, but swprintf. Yeah. swprintf. What am I doing wrong? No, it's correct. Char buffer here. Well, position here. Multiplied by width plus here string size +1 actually, and here we are going to specify the parameters, or I forgot what the parameter s, and here we need this also, this long specifier, or I don't know what this means actually. CSTR. Okay, this works. Yeah. And how are we going to present our buffer? So here we are going to use the function write console output character, and we are going to use W version, white version. Screen buffer, cab buffer. We need to cast this into the double word. So double word width multiplied by height, and do we need this? No. And here simply num characters written. In case we need this information, we can just pass a null pointer here like that. And it's fine. But maybe you want this. So in here, okay, increase font size, console font info, and parameter here, double word font size y. We need only y parameter. Offset. Maybe offset is not the best name for it. So here we're going to check if our console font info double word font size y just more than font size max, you know, if it, or if it, yes, if it's more than that, we just console font for double word font size y equals font size max. Let's cap our limits here. Maybe wrong expression, doesn't matter. Okay, set font size font info and yes, double word font size y. We haven't implement this yet. Haven't implemented. And here, same, but the difference here is this, obviously, when we decrease, and if it's smaller, if it's less than minimum size, we just set it to the minimum size. We don't want this to be smaller than that. And okay, we're done with this too. So what about the accessors? Well, here we will just simply return console font info face name. Weird name actually, but that's how it is. Here we are going to return our size. Return font info font, no, double word font size Y. Here we are going to just return our max and min sizes, font size max, and here font size min. Okay, here we are going to return console output reviewed. Okay, we are almost done here. So set font. Okay, this is really simple. First, we're going to return dereferenced this in each one of these functions. Okay, and then let's what we need here. Well, we can just use the wide mem copy s here. So console face name. So the destination, our destination here is the first parameter. First parameter is console info. No, console font info actually. Face name. Console font info. Face name. Yeah, this one is a little bit tricky. We can just use, it's risky a little bit, but size multiplied by size of wide character, and well, the second one is font name, and here we need to CSTR and font. Can we just date? Yeah, also can do this, but to make things more obvious. And here again, font name size multiplied by size of size if something interesting here. Wide character. Okay, that's it. Destination. Destination size is tricky to calculate, so let's pretend we have it the same size as our font name specified in the parameter. And, well, our font name and our font name size. Okay, source and source size. So here, console font info font size. Well, let's specify all the parameters of this structure here. Here, and font. Well, we don't need this here. Double word font size. Size X. Let's say 0. Let's use default one. Double word font size Y. The Y equals font size. So here, font family. Let's say don't care. And here, font weight. Don't know what that means. Normal, let's say normal. So, face name. Let's use consoles by default. WCS. WCS PS like wide CS copyright doesn't matter. Console font info face name. Oh, guys, we just basically can do the same thing here. Wow, impressive. Never thought about that. Just here, font name. No. Oh. STR. Oh yeah. Don't need this. Don't need a memory copy here. We can use this magic little function. Will help us. Okay. We are not done yet here. Because now, that's why we have specified all the parameters. But hey, we need only the size. Well, in order to change something here, we need to change everything. This is how it works. So, set current console font extended. And here let's say false, false, maximum window now. And here our console font info. Okay, we're done with this one. What about this? This one is way simpler. And that's it. And to hide cursor, this is also a little bit tricky one. We need to get console cursor info, console screen buffer, console cursor info. So here, console cursor info, let's say will be visible equals to false. Whoa, what was that? False. This one is actually not a boolean but integer. What we also have size. Well, we don't need size here. Let's not mess with this size. And then just basically set this. Oh, I did something wrong here. Yeah. Maybe this, oh yes, some typos. Okay, we are done with this class here. We're still not doing anything here. We are not rendering here anything on the screen, but we will in the next part. And in the next part, we are going to implement our application class to test our screen buffer, to write something on the screen eventually. And then we are going to implement our screen and other very interesting stuff, our event system and so on. Next chapter, application class. For today we are done. See you next time.